Welcome back to America Tonight. The research is still out on the impacts of long-term marijuana use, but as the drug has become legal in more places, more seniors are using it than ever before. And along with that increase, more older adults, 65 and up, are landing in emergency rooms from marijuana overdoses. This is according to a recent study of ER visits in Canada. The research shows emergency hospital visits in this group doubled after sales of the cannabis flower were legalized in Canada in 2018. Then visits tripled after marijuana edibles were legalized in 2020. It is unclear whether the number of cannabis poisonings among seniors in the U.S. is also on the rise. Recreational marijuana is legal in 24 states and Washington, D.C., and 38 states and D.C. allow medical marijuana use. Let's bring in America Tonight medical contributor, Dr. Omer Awan. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight, Doctor. What does this Canadian study say about what might be happening in the United States?
Well, I think it foreshadows, Chris, exactly what may happen here. And I'm very concerned that the results in Canada are going to be something that we see here because marijuana now is much more accessible now because, as you said, it's being legalized much more in an increasing number of states for recreational use and even medicinal use. So we are going to start to see this, and it's already happening, actually. It's happening in some states like California, where we're starting to see a lot more ED visits of marijuana for the elderly that are intoxicated and have overdoses. And, this is a very concerning thing, and we have to be very diligent in the way we address this and educate the public about what marijuana is and potential causes for this and signs and symptoms of overdose.
I know you're quoted as saying, quote, marijuana is not orange juice, it is a drug and has harmful effects on the body. How does it impact seniors' bodies compared to younger people?
That's a great question, Chris. And, we're starting to see overdoses in seniors for a couple of reasons. And one of which is, honestly, they may not even be aware that they're taking marijuana because now marijuana can be used in many different forms. So not only can it be smoked, but it's present in edibles, things like baked goods, chocolate, candy. So there may be instances where the elderly aren't even aware that they're taking marijuana. But from a science perspective, as you know, marijuana is a fat-soluble substance. And as we age, we typically have more fat and less water, which means that it takes longer for an elderly body to clear marijuana, and that can predispose to having marijuana poisoning. And even more than that, most elderly individuals have chronic medical conditions, and that also means that they're likely on medications to treat those conditions. And these drugs can interact with marijuana, and it can slow the process of clearing marijuana from the body, and that can also, of course, predispose to overdoses. And I think this is a major difference for why the elderly are much more likely to have overdose in certain situations compared to even younger, more healthier individuals.
I want to go over some of the reported benefits of medical marijuana. It is said to help cancer patients with chronic pain, nausea, and vomiting. It is shown to have some benefits in neurological diseases. It is used to treat glaucoma, Parkinson's, and PTSD, among others. How do we balance the benefits of marijuana, but also the concerns that you've been talking about?
So we have to be very diligent, Chris, in terms of understanding what the benefits are and what the harms are. And there should be safety precautions in place for us to know and to use it judiciously so that people aren't overdosing. And it starts with understanding what the signs and symptoms are of overdose. So if you start to experience, nausea, headache, dizziness, problems with balance, coordination, and even hallucinations, which means that you are starting to see things that aren't real, those are signs of marijuana overdose, and you must get medical attention and go to the emergency room. But, taking it, if you have those conditions, those are very specific reasons to take marijuana. Chronic pain, typically neuropathic pain, which means pain from injured nerves, or if you have intractable nausea and vomiting, not just nausea and vomiting, but if you're a cancer patient, you're on chemotherapy, and you have nausea and vomiting that's just not getting better with other medications, that's an absolute reason to take marijuana. And also, really rare neurological conditions like seizures that aren't amenable to other therapies. So having a solid and basic understanding of when it should be used and using the safety precautions will certainly help us control marijuana and hopefully decrease the amount of overdoses and hospitalizations that we see in emergency rooms across America.
All right, America Tonight medical contributor, Dr. Omer Awan, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Chris.
And still ahead, tomorrow, it's the big day. President Biden and former President Donald Trump face off on the debate stage, how each campaign is preparing to pounce on its presidential opponent. next.